So, learning objective 3 is we're going to discuss the early settlement of Massachusetts Bay Colony, and we want to demonstrate your understanding of how this colony was a prime example of salutary neglect. So, while the colony of New Plymouth was struggling along in the 1620s, a dozen fishing and trading posts were founded along New England coasts from southern Maine to Massachusetts Bay, and in some cases, in many cases, without permission. One of these trading posts, established in 1626, was developed at present-day Salem and was taken over by a group of leading Congregationalists in 1628. After obtaining a charter for Massachusetts Bay Company from King Charles I in 1629, when Anglo-Catholic pressure began to be severely felt, the Congressionalists voted to transfer charter, government, and members to New England. So the charter is moving from England to directly to New England, where they are residing. The colony got off to a fast start with a well-equipped expedition in 1630 with 11 ships carrying 900 to 1,000 men and women who founded Boston and 7 other towns nearby. The transfer of Massachusetts Bay Charter and the results of the transfer represent an important element in the development of American institutions. With both the charter and company in America, the colony became practically, virtually independent of England. The freemen, as stockholders, as they were called, became voters and elected the governor, deputy governor, and assistants who made up the upper branch of the legislative assembly. Thus, neither the king nor parliament had any say in the Massachusetts government. The franchise or right to vote was restricted to church members, so it wasn't a free and democratic society in entirety, but this is relative to the time they live in. This is a pretty an amazing part of the piece when we're studying the progress of democracy. But the franchise, or the right to vote, was restricted to church members, which prevented non-Congregationalists from participating in the government. In 1635, the English government tried to revoke the Massachusetts Bay Company charter, but the colony, they refused to return it. And after numerous delays and pleas from Massachusetts, plus internal political and religious problems with England, England finally was in a position to revoke the charter in June of 1684, after allowing almost 50 years of self-government to develop. So, salutary neglect again became the unofficial policy of the English government, which allowed for truly American institutions such as geographical representation versus virtual representation, as we talked about before, and to be developed within the American environment out of this European model, this concept of democracy or democratic republic forms of government. So between 1686 and 1689, England attempted to end salutary neglect with the creation of the Dominion of New England. So the Dominion was this vast new colony which included all of New England, plus New York and New Jersey. Basically, this entire area right here, more or less, that's colored in the map, is going to be part of the Dominion of England. The thought was basically, let's create, and also coming out to this area here, the thought was, let's just create 2 colonies, the Dominion of New England and the Southern Dominion. That was the plan. Southern Dominion really got nowhere, but the idea was just to create 2 dominions. The Dominion was to serve several purposes. Most important, the Dominion was designed to promote urgently needed efficiency in the administration of the English Navigation Acts. The Navigation Acts sought to stitch the colonies more tightly to the mother country, England, Great Britain, and to cut off American trade with countries not ruled by the English crown. In other words, to enforce mercantilism. So Basically, if you're going to trade with other countries, you do it through our ships, and you do it with our permission. It was the idea of the Navigation Acts, at least. The Dominion also was an attempt to lighten the cost of administration and generally tighten the overall control of the colonies. Finally, the Dominion was aimed at bolstering colonial defense in the event of a major war with Native Americans and the French in Canada. So the headquarters of the Dominion was in Boston, and Sir Edmund Andros, this dapper-looking guy right here with a nice little skirt on, was the governor of the new colony. Andros, who had been a professional soldier, had shown earlier as governor of New York that he could be a skilled colonial administrator. At the demand of King James II, colonial legislatures were dissolved, and Andros and the local councils appointed by the king assumed all judicial and legislative power. In a sense, Andros had absolute authority in this newly established colony called the Dominion of New England. Again, the Dominion of England is just basically sucking up all of the colonies that were in the north and putting them under one colony. Andros charged quit rents and laid heavy restrictions on the press and schools, so he didn't get off to a good start, and he enforced mercilessly the king's objective, which was to get these colonies in line and end salutary neglect. So it's not going to go over too well. The results of Andros' actions forced the liberty-loving colonists, because that's what they were accustomed to, they were accustomed to unusual privileges in relation to and relative to other English colonies during the long decades of salutary neglect, during 50 years of salutary neglect. So it pushed them towards revolt. And that revolt would come basically because of major instability that's going on in England at this time, which culminated in the Glorious Revolution of 1688, basically a civil war going on in England at this time. So the Glorious Revolution of 1688 ends up deposing King James and creating an opportunity for the colonists to rid themselves of the Dominion and Andros. So when word reached Massachusetts that William and Mary had been offered the crown in England, the Congressionalists wasted little time in imprisoning Andros and his council in what resulted in a bloodless revolution by over 1,000 armed colonists. The justification for the overthrow was that the Dominion was part of James's tyrannical policies and was no longer a legal or valid institution. Massachusetts, though rid of Andros, did not gain as much from the upheaval as it had hoped. In 1691, Massachusetts was made a royal colony with a new charter and a new royal governor. Worst of all, the privilege of voting, once monopoly of church members, was to be enjoyed by all qualified male property owners. So there was some liberalization in suffrage for people in Massachusetts under the colony. So that this grip that the church had, that was a homegrown creation institution of Massachusetts, was greatly neutralized once it was made an official colony. The rise and fall of the Dominion marks a turning point in American history. This is real important to keep in mind. Success would have led to the unification of the colonies under two separate governors. So if successful, the rest of the colonies would have been combined into a southern dominion, and the reduction of colonial self-government would have taken place, if not eliminated. Also, if successful, there would have been no colonies to become states after the American Revolutionary War, and possibly no American Revolution, probably no American Revolution whatsoever. So that concludes the... wait, 1 second here. Learning Objective 3, that concludes Learning Objective 3. So I'll see you in Learning Objective 4 when we talk about the Treaty of Paris and the end of salutary neglect. Take care. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns.